Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Outer Realm with myself, Michelle Desrochers, and Amelia Pisano. We are broadcasting live here via the International Public Radio on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM in the beautiful city of New Orleans. Tonight, we welcome Mr. Marzulli. You all know him. You all love him. First for us. This is going to be a lot of fun. He will be discussing UFO disclosures and talking about his new film, Lost Civilizations. In order to participate in the show tonight, please pop on over to the United Paranormal Radio or International Public Radio pages on YouTube, and better off on UFO Paranormal so we can actually interact with you. Otherwise, there will be at least another 6 places that the video will be streaming live simultaneously, including Twitch and I believe Twitter, and of course the network's Facebook pages. Our guests and ourselves will be able to see all your comments coming up here on the studio board. So don't hesitate to move forward and comment, ask your questions. Unfortunately, we just won't be able to respond directly. So with that being said, settle yourselves in and get ready for an amazing show. And Bubbles, I imagine you're sharing the link. So
I'm trying to. My Facebook decided to shut off everything.
Hello, Ween.
Yeah, Facebook decided to shut down, and I had to restart it with a new, and it's not letting me. There we go.
That's great. Yeah, see, we have to do this ourselves, this part. We're lucky we have a producer that does everything else, but this is the one thing we have to do for ourselves on our own pages, so we have to bear with us.
We did it last week. He did it for us.
I know.
Just saying.
I know. That's just, kind of the way it goes. But anyway, yeah, so keeping up with UFO Disclosure Month, most of the shows on the network, of course, are discussing disclosure. And I have to say, there's a lot of interesting information out there. There's a lot of different perspectives out there, a lot of different expectations that we go. I think I can actually accept this now onto my page. And it's really curious to see. Okay, no, this doesn't come up for me. Sorry.
No, it's not letting me tag you now.
Okay.
But I will put it on the group.
Okay.
It won't let me tag you. It won't let me tag Joe.
Great.
We just love when Facebook
has
these
Hello,
things.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so it's really fascinating to hear the different perspectives out there. There's been so many shows done. I know we've had several, people talking about it on and off. And of course, when Joe and I do the Gray Zone on Saturdays, the listenership is colossal. So there's definitely interest there. Definitely. So, hey, Steve. So I'm really, let's face it, LA knows everything.
Wow, I've been watching him. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. He's really, really versed. And I don't know. I wish that we could just have more of him. But we have him for an hour tonight, folks. So we'll do our best to amuse you all after the fact. So as soon as Amelia is done, I will ask Joe to bring him on. I'm sure he is in queue, ready to go. Sorry, you guys will have
in chat.
Go to the Outer Realm Facebook page to get the link. It's not tagging me for whatever reason, so
I just tried again. I just redid it through my page separately, okay. And hopefully it'll work.
Oh, it did. Okay, it did this time.
In the meantime, I'll give you a quick bio in case you didn't catch on Facebook, which you should. Please come by and give us a like on the Outer Realm on Facebook as well as Instagram. Okay, L.A. Marzulli is an author, lecturer, and filmmaker. He has penned 8 books, including the Nephilim Trilogy, which made the CBA bestsellers list. He received an honorary doctorate for the series from his mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, who was the Provost at Pacific International University. His book On the Trail of the Nephilim, Definitive Proof of Biblical Giants, is a full-color, oversized book which uncovers startling evidence that there has been a massive cover-up of what he believes are the remains of the Nephilim, the giants mentioned in the Bible. Imagine that.
And
He
that's a
has
whole other
taken on
show,
the
and unfortunately, it's not
trail.
tonight.
Yes, but we're going to let you know in case you want to go out there and get his books. He has taken on the trail of the Nephilim and created a film series that continues his research with interviews from people in their specific field of knowledge. Where the book left off, LA continues his research and is on the trail.
Yep,
he has his own YouTube channel, so you can catch all his shows, as well as if you go to our Facebook page, you can catch his website link and see his film. It's really, really good.
Fantastic. So, Joe, when you're ready, we'd like to welcome in Mr. L.A. Marzulli. There he is. Hello.
Hi, how are you? This is so weird.
How are you? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. We've been anxiously waiting.
It's an honor.
It's so hard because you have so much stuff to talk about. It's just so overwhelming, and of course the producer's like, try to stick to the disclosure. Great. There, see right there. I saw that and I got really excited. I'm like, we will stick to the dang disclosure thing, Joe.
I've been watching you all day on YouTube.
Okay.
I have. I love your show. I think it's fantastic. It's great for people like me who are still, just past dipping their toes into this, and you give great insight, and it's such an education. And I love your energy because it's similar to mine. So anyways, yeah. Thank you so much. It's such an honor.
I'm just neutral.
Yeah, I totally get LA's energy on the show. I'm just like, yep.
So, wow. How are you?
I'm really good. My brother and I played golf today. We haven't seen each other since COVID.
Nice.
About 18 months. He flew in to Oklahoma from Cape Cod, and we played some golf today. It was great. We did my daily show, played golf, barbecued, had a wonderful dinner.
Oh, that's nice. Good for you.
Really cool.
That explains the tan. You didn't have it on yesterday's show. That explains the tan.
Yes. Being out in the sun. I don't know. We're still locked down, so we're not out of
where are you?
Plague jail yet. Ontario, Canada. We're streaming out of New Orleans. I know.
That's off the charts. Crazy.
I know.
Terrifying. Yep.
There's only 25 cases in the city that I live in, and we're locked down. I'm just saying.
It's absurd what's going on up there. And the good people of Canada need to coalesce and go, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. And until the people rise up.
We've been trying. It's just when you rise up, it's an $850 fine when you rise up.
It's like Joe says, you guys all have to come up and save the Canadians.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. And, nobody has any guns because they rounded them all up. So there you go. I mean, people don't understand that. You have no guns. It's very difficult to get a gun in Canada. We all know.
Oh, no, it's not. Actually, no, it's not. That's another show.
Okay. All right. Corrected.
Not difficult at all.
Oh, yeah. That's just good times. Let me just say I was watching your show and I went, like just like that. I watched your YouTube show. It's like exactly like that.
What he said. That's it.
Yeah. You won't even imagine the hate mail I get. I probably get about 100 plus messages alone just on Facebook.
Wow.
Alone. Oh yeah, that's just a day. So never mind the hate mail. I really try to, like I say, just kind of behave myself because
I'll be on my best behavior.
It doesn't take much for the fans to just like, what? You've got your...
Yeah. We forward it all to the producer. Don't worry.
Yeah. I wish I could. Disclosure. I'm just really didn't know where to start with it, but you've written a book on it. You're obviously extremely versed on it. I'm just going to let you take it in whichever direction you want. We're going to follow along because I want everybody to get as much out of our time with you as possible.
This is free. The DVD is, and if you want to buy the hard copy DVD, you got to buy it. But we have, this is horrible the way to start off. But you get the book and the DVD half price. It's a two.
Nice.
So, right? I mean, I can't do any more than that. But you can watch the DVD for free by going to streaming.lamarzulli.net. You can download it. You can watch it for free. Why am I doing this? Because I truly believe we are in a window of time which is literally unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this. In 2017, Commander David Fravor, former F-18 pilot, was on Tucker Carlson's show. And it was a triptych. They had Tucker Carlson here, Commander David Fravor here, and then on the other side, they had what was at one time classified footage of a tic-tac shaped UFO. This is December 2017. I fell out of my chair. That was disclosure. And it begs the question, who has the power to call up Tucker Carlson's producers and go, hey, Tucker Carlson's producer, we want Commander David Fravor on next Friday to talk about UAPs, UFOs.
Right.
Who's Commander David Fravor? Well,
right.
He doesn't have a DVD, doesn't have a book. He's an unknown guy, but he will be on your show next Friday. Who's got the power to do that? And that's exactly what happened. So Fravor comes on. Tucker does the softball interview. Commander David Fravor, when asked, what do you think this was? Fravor looks right at the camera and says, whatever this was not from this earth. All right? That opens the door. That's the first rung on the ladder of disclosure.
So it's pretty much already started. Forget the June deadline. This is pretty much already going on.
Well, I mean, this is 2017, and when they came out with that opened the door. Since then, we've had more and more people. We're probably on the 7th or 8th rung. It depends on how you want to count it. The bottom line is when our government, the Pentagon, says we have in our possession off-world vehicles not made on this earth. This isn't, coast to coast. It's not George Norrie. It's not, some UFO guy like me talking about it. This is the flipping Pentagon saying we have in our possession vehicles not made on, and immediately begs a question. Well, if the vehicles are not made on this earth, where are they from? And more importantly, who are the entities that are making them? No.
Right.
Oh, so who's in them?
This is, if you look at look at the subtitle here, "The Coming Great Deception of a Luciferian Endgame."
It's that's the whole part of the book that I'm just like, see that right there.
This is the DVD. You can watch it for free, streaming. LA Marzulli. If you want the DVD, you got to pay for it, but you can watch it for free. And we did it. The reason why I released it for free, and we're working on part 2, which we will release for free. We're asking for contributions, but we're still releasing it for free regardless, because the information is way too important to charge for. I mean, some things are just like, this is the ultimate game changer.
It costs money to make too. People have to understand that.
People have no idea.
Absolutely. This is business, people. Come on.
I have a magic DVD tree in the backyard.
There we go.
I just go back and I just pluck that DVD right off the tree. There it is.
I like it.
I wish.
So I mean, essentially, like, my thoughts are always, you'll get better stuff from the everyday public with camera phones, right place, right time, but the military seems to be in the right place at the right time a whole lot, because there's a lot starting to surface now also, these things swarming the aircraft carriers. This seems to be like a regular thing going back to the like wartime, and they're capturing this stuff. Do you think we're going to get anything really important? And I don't mean to minimize what's happening, but let's face it, most people at one time or another, most, not all, have seen something unexplained in the skies.
I agree. That's in the film. We have witness after witness that come on the record and recount their UFO stories, their abductions, their missing time, the whole 9 yards. And we're not making this stuff up. Unfortunately, many people are at worst asleep, at best ambivalent towards even examining the phenomenon. Look, I've been banging this drum for 30 years, folks. 30 years, actively warning people of what? The coming great deception. This is it. When they show up, when they really show up, everything changes. COVID changed everything. Everything with the entire globe locked down. Okay, I get that. All right? That's unprecedented. But when this happens, when we get a mile-wide craft sitting there over some city, I mean, that's it. The entire planet goes like this. Paradigm shift. And Obama last week said something. I covered this on my daily show, PPS Report. Obama said, when we're going to see, he didn't say when they're going to be revealed, but he said this, that there's going to be new religions. The first thing out of his mouth. Well, why would he say that? There's going to be new religions. That's what he said. There's going to be new religions and the military is going to ramp up. Well, sure they're going to ramp up because the technology that they will bring will change everything. But this is why I call it the coming great deception. They will say the so-called ET, but they're not, in my opinion. They're interdimensional entities. They're not from some other faraway planet. They're interdimensional entities, which are here. They're coming from another dimension, literally. They're not another planet, another dimension. And these are really some nefarious guys. They will say that they created all life on this earth. They genetically manipulated early man. They started the world's earliest civilizations, earliest religions. Now, at this critical juncture in human history, they are back to usher mankind into a golden age. Now, I've heard this 50 years ago. I was a new ager. I mean, I was completely immersed, third eye open, guru, meditation, spirit guides. I mean, I was deep into the new age. And then 41 years ago, after leaving the new age and becoming completely agnostic, leave me alone. I don't want to do any of this stuff. You're all freaking crazy. I'm done with it all. There's nothing. Leave me alone. And I'm reading a book by David Hunt, and at the end of it, there's a little prayer, to give your life to Jesus. I'm sitting there, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Jesus, come on. And I said, this was my prayer 41 years ago. If you're real, if you really are there, and I have no idea whether you are or not, but I ask that you come into my life and change it, okay? If you're really who, Dave Hunt and all these people say you are, then come into my life and change it. That was it. That's all I said. It's all I said. And I kind of waited like this. Nothing happened.
No lightning?
Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing
wow.
happened for about a month. And then everything changed. And I'm talking supernatural on steroids. Everything changed and changed dramatically. And I went through, I would say, 3 years of extremely intense spiritual warfare. And I had no idea how to fight it. And the people that I was, that were mentoring me, they didn't have any idea how to fight it either. They just didn't know anything about spiritual warfare. And about 2.5 years into it, I'll never forget, I was at a market in the Pacific Palisades in California. I was working construction. My mentor, Wayne Kendall, who I dedicated the Cosmic Chess Match to, he was out in the parking lot. And, I would go into a market, and my senses were so wired and so open that I could spend about 5 minutes in a market, and that would be it. It was overloaded. I couldn't do it. It was like being on acid almost. I couldn't, I'm giving it away. I was at Woodstock, held as deeply as possible. Okay? So it was like being constantly on LSD, but I wasn't on anything. My senses were just wide open. And I was open to everything, both good and both bad. I mean, and I remember seeing this it was a market where you put your stuff on this turnstile that went this way. It wasn't the kind that roll this way. It was the kind that rolled around. So you put it, and it would kind of like a circle, and it would come up to the cashier, and she would take it off the conveyor belt. And then that conveyor belt, which was a circle, would go underneath and then come back out. Well, when it went underneath, what came out was this little track, little piece of paper, about this big. And I pick it up, and it talks about spiritual warfare. And that set me free. That changed everything, because all of a sudden I was armed and dangerous. And I continue 41 years later, or 40 years later, whatever, 39 years later, to implement that spiritual warfare, because we are at war. We are at war footing. The entire planet is at war footing by an enemy who's incredibly nefarious, malevolent, and wants to basically destroy every human being on the planet if he could. And so that's where we are, and that's why we see what we see is going on. And that's why when they show up, this is the coming great deception and the Luciferian endgame. So why is it deception? Well, the biblical narrative, the guide, which I call, by the way, the guidebook of the supernatural. So, you can say Bible, and immediately everybody goes, sorry, not listening, time out, change the channel. I get that. But when I say guidebook to the supernatural, people listen. Guess what? That's what that book is. It's the guidebook to the supernatural. But you need the key to crack the code. If you don't have the key to open it, you can read it till the cows come home and you'll never get it. Once you got the key, it begins to open up, and it's like it truly is like another layer of an onion, another layer, another layer.
It's like full of codes too, like it's full of codes. Code breakers have been like amazed because some of, like you say, getting the key, hidden messages.
Yeah, there are, and there are prophecies which were there thousands of years, which made no sense until we arrive in modernity, and then we kind of go, oh my gosh, it's happening.
This is now.
This is now. But for 2,000 years, or almost 2,000 years, in some cases longer, these prophecies just lay dormant, and no one knew what they meant. And now, for those of us who travel in this and study it, we're going to go, we're just like, can't even believe what we're looking at. So, that changed my life. That's 41 years ago, and it's set me on the path that I'm on now. But these entities will say, once again, they created all life on this planet, genetically manipulated man, started the world civilization, started world religions, critical time, they're back. Well, that is the deception, because the guidebook of a supernatural says very succinctly that all things were made through him and by him and for him, and he holds all things together. I mean, that's an absurd statement to make, that all things were made by Yeshua, by Jesus. That's what it says, that he created all things. All things were made by him and for him. He is before all things, and he holds all things together. That is the most absurd statement you could possibly ever make. You go, LA, that's ridiculous. I can't possibly believe it. Okay, don't believe that. So now the alternative is, this is the great deception, that Darwinism, it just happened by chance over billions of years in primordial slime. Somehow we get the complexity of the deoxyribonucleic DNA molecular structure, and poof, we get life on the planet. Sorry, not buying it. And the neo-Darwinists know that it's bogus. You remember when Darwin put forth his theory of evolution, he had no idea about DNA. DNA wasn't discovered until the 20th century by Watson and Crick. And they didn't discover it. They just happened to have the right type of tools that went, oh my gosh, look at this double helix of life. That's why our ministry is called Spiral of Life, which is the double helix. And what I did is I took Michelangelo's finger of God and I put the DNA helix.
That's clever.
Yeah, it's really clever.
That's really cool. So that's why it's a spiral of life. So there's two choices a person can have. One, that all this happened by chance. Two, that there's some creator somewhere that created this. So when Ben Stein, in his movie Expelled, sits down with the premier evolutionist Richard Dawkins, and Dawkins is really a smart guy, a lot smarter than I am. I mean, I can't compete with him. His computers were way better than my computer. Okay, I can kind of hold my ground maybe. So Stein goes, well, how did you think this all happened? Where did the first self-replicating molecule come from? And Dawkins has no answer. He says, well, we don't know. No one knows. And he's right. He's intellectually honest. No one knows. And so Stein throws him sort of an intellectual lifeline. Well, how do you think it might have happened? And basically, he's telling us Star Wars. He says, well, it could have happened. I'll do my goofy English accent. Well, I suppose it could have happened like this. Like a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, that some advanced race of extraterrestrials might have created us and then seeded us here through the galaxy and created all life on Earth. Thank you. Well, I mean, okay, you can believe that. You can believe anything you want to believe. But that's absolutely, utterly preposterous. I'll go with the Guidebook of a Supernatural. Why? Because there's a thread of prophecy in that book, from the first book to the last book, from Genesis to Revelation. There's that thread of prophecy that's there, which is written a priori with great specificity and calls out things that are about to happen. Israel is a perfect example. I will regather you from the four corners of the earth and reestablish you in your ancient homeland, never again to be removed. So if Israel gets kicked out of the homeland, okay, then I'm going to have to rethink everything.
Shit will go down.
Right? Right. Against all odds, they're still there. So figure. Why? because prophecy tells us that. That's why.
So you're going by, let's say, version 2 of the handbook. What about version 1, which speaks of how the gods made men in their image?
Right.
Like, it speaks of multiple gods, and there's so much in there. You've got the story of Enoch and Ezekiel. And Jesus himself had extraterrestrial encounters. They make mention of these civilizations, but you don't see that in, let's say, version 2. I was trying to keep up with the lingo.
But you do, because when he's talking about let us make man in our image, so who is they?
And see, in version 2 it says he made man in his image.
No, in our image. Version 2 is the same.
Is it the same?
It's the same.
I wonder if it depends on the
our image. Let me get it. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, because it's curious to me.
I thought it was his. Yeah.
The version 1, being the Old Testament, seems to have a lot more information that they kept out of the New Testament. The Gnostics themselves, who were pre a lot of that, were very aware of beings from the stars and so on. So, I'm just trying to see how it all ties together, because there is mention of it,
Hold on.
I'm waiting. I can't see. Okay, wait a minute. Make me in our image. Okay. I'm kind of wondering if it's one of those Mandela effect things, because
what it is this. People don't understand that when they're doing that, some of this is cloaked and hidden, and it's slowly revealed. In our image is the aspect of the triune God. You've got Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost.
Still one person.
I have trouble understanding how all that works. I mean, I really do. I don't get it. How can a little weasel like me with a finite brain figure out someone who is actually 3 persons in one? It's like, I can't possibly get my head around it.
I've heard many say in his image, like singular. So it's like, I keep on, okay, which version?
Maybe you're thinking our Catholic upbringing.
Well, that's it. Let us make man in our image. So in the garden, who was walking with Adam and Eve? It's the pre-incarnate Christ. It's the pre-incarnate Jesus. Right. Who is the captain of the host who appears to Joshua? It's the pre-incarnate Christ. Who is the one out of the 3 so-called angels that appears to Abraham and says he lets the other 2 angels go, but he sits there and he dines with Abraham and tells and tells him out, you will be a great nation. When Joshua encounters the captain of the Lord's hosts, that entity says, take off your sandals. This is holy ground. Angels don't do that.
Right.
Captain of the Lord. I mean, the Spirit of the living God, I know it sounds woo-woo, but it's all over me right now by saying this, because that's the truth. So what we have, and then Jesus says something. And if I don't go, if I don't leave, then the Holy Spirit will not come and indwell you. When that happened 2,000 years ago, that changed everything. It changed me 41 years ago. All right. And that's something that you can talk about it till you're blue in the face. But let me put it to a simple analogy. Let's say you've never been in an airplane. And I tell you, wow, it's amazing. We go down the runway, we take off, and all of a sudden we're above and you can see the ground. And then we're high up and you can see cities and landscapes. But if you're never on the airplane, it's just head knowledge and you never experience it. Well, the Spirit of a living God came into those people 2,000 years ago, and that changed the entire planet. That's what did it. And that's what happens today. And it's free. And it's not, it's not some religion or, monks with funny haircuts or rosary beads or stained glass windows or incense stentures or, robes and all this nonsense. Nothing to do with anything. You ask and he comes in and he will indwell you.
Of course.
When he does that, your life changes. I mean, look at me. I'm 41 years into this. And I'm in the candy store. I can't even believe what he's done in my life. So it's a relationship. When I say I was tingling, this has happened for about 8 months now. Something new. And I'll just tell you a story. It's very personal, but
Of course.
maybe it will help people come across the line. So it's 3:00 in the morning. I'm in the trailer in the Santa Monica Mountains. My wife's next to me. She's asleep. I'm awake and I'm praying. That's what I do. When I wake up when he wakes me up at 3 a.m, it's like, can we do this a little later in the day, please?
You're worse than a rooster. Come on.
Right now.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm going through the whole litany. I'm laying on my back, my hands are raised, and I'm in worship. I'm worshiping him. And I'm singing this song, I raise a hallelujah in the presence of the enemy. I raise a hallelujah louder than my unbelief. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. It's a song. I raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me. And as I'm singing that, all of a sudden, even now, I'm getting it. And this warm, tingling feeling rushes over my entire body, which I'd never experienced before. And I just went, Lord, what's going on? And I was reassured, this is from me. And since then, every day, even now, it's like if I am talking about him or if someone, it's like that rush, that warm feeling right now, there it is again, will overtake me. And when I'm learning, I'm just learning it. I'm not sure where it's going yet. But when someone says something that's the truth, or they'll quote something from scripture to me in the course of a conversation, boom, he manifests. And I know it's going somewhere. It's none of my business where he's going to take me with it, which is that's part of the journey, right?
That's part of the journey.
That's part of the mystery. That's the mystery of it. It's like, oh, you're doing something. I have no idea what it is, but I know you're good, and you're good all the time, and you love me, and you love every person on this planet, and you want the same thing for them as you're doing to me. All he wants is fellowship, and that's what it is. It becomes fellowship. And when we accept that, then he comes in and our lives change. He will change your life. There's no doubt about it. Everything just begins to shift because all of a sudden our spirits are reborn. They're kindled for the first time in our lives. Happened to me 41 years ago. And now, and it can be very dangerous because I was involved in the occult. I did Ouija boards. I had Ashtaroth almost manifest through the portal. I'll tell you that story. I'm about 18 years old. We're up in Cliff Eberhardt's room. We're playing a Ouija board. Cliff's there. I'm here. And Michael is over here. I'm not going to mention last names, all right? And we're doing a Ouija board. This thing is spelling out names. It's doing the whole thing. And it spells out the demon god Ashtaroth. Next to us is a wall. Right here is a wall, right? Right next to us. All of a sudden, I'll never forget it. All of a sudden, the whole room goes cold. The wall goes black. It was a white painted wall. The wall goes black like there's something opening up. We looked at each other. We flipped the board open and ran out of the room. We called up the demon god.
Well, you left him there because you left it open.
Well,
oops.
that's really good. But the fact that we stopped it, that's what closed it off, I think. But I could be wrong. I don't know. But, that's almost 50 years ago. That's over 50 years ago. Well, this stuff is real. And this is why, people email me all the time with all sorts of stuff going on in their lives. And I go, you have tarot cards, you have Ouija stuff. Have you gone to a psychic? Are you doing meditation, astral projection? And usually there's a door open, like you said, Amelia.
I think
somewhere, and you have to shut it down.
If you put out the invitation, and now with technology, I've said it many times, it's phone apps, it's ghost boxes, it's voice recorders. If you put out the request to communicate, you get it.
Get communication.
You will get it. So essentially, there's your invite.
Yeah,
it's a big be careful what you wish for.
It is.
Lesson.
It is.
When you're even with your recorder from your phone, that's a big lesson because we clear that stuff. So never
invite them in. Never.
No.
But say that to a kid who's had a phone app that's a Ouija board, and they think, I remember talking to a father whose daughter was I think 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
And he goes, I work a lot. I'm a businessman. You know, she's into the ghost hunting shows. I'm thinking at that age, okay. And she had phone apps. And then he comes to me and says, oh, doors are opening and closing all the time. And I'm just by themselves. I'm like, attachment.
She was alone a lot. Yeah.
I
She
know.
was alone
And
a lot.
I gave them my information, and because all kinds of clearings successfully internationally. I've been doing them for 18 years. I said, please call me. I would really like to help your family. And he goes, oh yeah, no problem. He goes, whatever makes her happy. Whatever makes her happy.
Well, until it affected him, right? Though,
but he still
Wasn't
didn't
it when-
call. He was just
Oh,
like,
I was thinking of another one that
no,
we had.
this
She
is
was
just
left
a man
alone a
who's
lot.
wants his little girl to do what she wants. She's, I can't even imagine the state they're in if she's got the run of the house and communicating with something who's pretending now to be
A friend.
Exactly.
Don't you want me to come over?
They're
Don't you
not.
want me to come over? And
Most
the little
adults
child
can't
says
even get
yes.
past that. They don't even realize. How does
No.
a child
Yeah.
pick that up when an adult on average can't even pick up that they're not dealing with who they think they're dealing with?
Kids wear
Right.
rose-colored glasses as well, right?
So do lots of adults, let me tell you what. But getting back on track. So what do you think? You see these crafts, people will tell you, you either have people who believe that everything is angels and demons or everything is extraterrestrial, like reptilian and humanoid, and angels or the Nordics. And what are your thoughts? What do you think is on those crafts that are starting? Or, I mean, they've been here for thousands of years. You look at some of the biblical paintings and images, and I mean, they're very present, and the ancients knew about them. Comfortably so, ironically, which is okay. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, here's the deal, and it's very complex. And no one on this planet has all the answers. We know that when we look at the guidebook of the supernatural, i.e. the Bible, it talks about these crafts. When you look at Kings, where the prophet Elisha is out there with his servant Gehazi, and they're surrounded by the Syrian army. And Gehazi's freaked out, and he goes, hey, what's going to happen here? And Elisha goes, Lord, open his eyes. So Gehazi goes out of a tent, and the Lord opens his eyes. And this is what he says. He rushes back in, and he goes, oh my gosh, I saw the chariots of fire. The chariots of fire are all encamped around us. Now, what is that? What are those chariots of fire? What is the chariot of fire that picks up Elijah? What is in Ezekiel 1 that whatever it is that's coming forward, and the heavens are open and Ezekiel sees something? What the heck is that?
The story of Enoch.
Yeah,
right?
The same thing. So we have something is going on, and then people go, well, why do angels need UFOs? Why do angels need these crap? And I don't have an answer to that.
They're interdimensional beings.
Well,
they are technically.
That's the deal. There seems to be certain angelic entities that don't need ships or anything else. They're able to come in and then go. A perfect example of that is when Daniel is praying. But in order to get to Daniel, this angel has to come in, and he starts fighting with the Prince of Persia. And he can't get through. He's got to go back and get reinforcements, and they fight, and then he gets through. And he says to Daniel, I was dispatched the moment we heard what you asked for, but it took 21 days to get here. And you kind of go, wait a minute. It's one of the few places in the guidebook of a supernatural where we get a glimpse of the heavenly war, of the ongoing battle, the war in the heavenlies that is taking place as I speak. It's invisible. So this angel, this messenger, this powerful entity, and when he appears to Daniel, Daniel goes, and I fell on my face. In modern day vernacular, that's called a face plant. So Daniel goes, boom, right on the ground. And so does everybody else who encounters these entities. Why? Because they're incredibly powerful. And we're not equipped to stand in their presence. We're just not. So this angelic messenger goes over, and he helps him up like 3 different times. He goes, "Dan, it's okay. Sorry." He's like, "Oh, I hate when that happens. I'm sorry about that. Here, let me help you out." And then Daniel finally stands up and he goes, first he's on all 4s, then he stands up and he's woozy, and the angel goes over and embraces him. I mean, it's just like, read that chapter. It'll blow your mind, because that's what the guidebook of the supernatural is about. And probably most of your listeners never heard that. Why does that angel just means messenger. Why does that entity, which is a good guy, why does he take 21 days to get to Daniel? Why does he have to go get reinforcements? And here's what's interesting. How are they fighting? How does that angel and the reinforcements fight against the Prince of Persia and his minions? We're not told. Flaming swords? Balls of light that they throw each other? I have no idea. But something is going on, and we're not told what it is. But there is a battle. And this angelic entity is able to finally get through. And it also begs the question, well, why can't he just do an end run? Why can't he just go 1,500 miles, to the east or to the west and sneak in that way? No. And this gets into gateways and portals and ley lines and openings and grid lines. It's all there. He has to go, in order to reach Daniel, he has got to go through this portal. He has to go through this gate. And that gate, that portal, is manned and literally owned by the Prince of Persia. Here's something to think about. That entity has never been deposed. Just think about that. Where is Persia? That's Iran. Look at Iran today. Look at their civilization. Look what they do. That prince of the power of the air has never been deposed. It's never been taken out. It's never been totally eliminated. It still controls the area. I'll tell you a story. So the Lord, and this is how he works with me, and he works differently with everybody. I mean, it's just, this is how he works with me. So my wife, Peggy, is in the bathroom on a Sunday morning, putting on her makeup or something. I'm in the bedroom, minding my own business, trying to be patient. Well, how that goes, right? And I'm not. Yeah. And I'm not at all.
It'll last longer if you don't talk.
We got your back, Peggy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Always.
and I'm in the bedroom waiting, and the Lord gives me one word. It's 2017. The Lord gives me one word. And after that was about 38 years of walking with him, I know his voice. And he just goes, Fatima, just like that. Fatima. And I go, oh, wow, Fatima. And then the light bulb goes off. Oh, my God, it's 2017. It's the 100-year anniversary of Fatima. Oh, my gosh. I've been asleep at the wheel here. I walk into the bathroom and I go, guess what? We're going to Portugal. We're going to make a film on Fatima. And she looks at me like I got 3 heads at this point.
That's nice, dear.
Right? What? Where'd you go? Oh,
I'm like, I'll get the bags.
The whole deal. Well, we started the proceedings, and it was just like total favor. Someone that we never met before, whatever reason, woke up on a Monday morning and gave us $14,000, which paid for the entire trip, all the airfare, all the lodging. We could pay all the people we were going to interview, paid for everything.
Wow,
right?
Very nice.
How does that happen?
Reason for everything. Yeah.
Because when the Lord wants something done, he will provide for it. And that's just how it works. And I just sat there dumbfounded when all this is happening. And then to make matters even better, there was a guy who had been in communication. And, Miguel would write me 3 times a day on email from Portugal. Miguel, can we just make it 1 email every couple of days? No. and he would write me, go, of top importance, you must read this. So
then you have to read it. You feel obligated.
Right. And I write Miguel and I go, hey, Miguel, we're coming to Portugal. Do you have anyone that can help us with this? He hooks us up with Francisco Carrera, head of exopolitics Portugal, who knows all the researchers, all the books that I've read. Joaquim Fernandez, I mean, what's her face? Oh God, I hate when this happens. Joaquim Fernandez, I mean, he had 10 or 12 people lined up to be interviewed. He was our producer in Portugal. I mean, what are the odds of that? You know,
I don't believe in coincidence, so I definitely think it's
Fina de Armada and Joaquim Fernandez. Fina de Armada was the one that blew the whole lid off of Fatima. And then we got to meet Fina's daughter. We interviewed her. We interviewed Joaquim Fernandez. We interviewed philosophers. We interviewed all these people who had been students of the Fatima apparition for decades. And that became the nexus of Fatima 1 and Fatima 2. We had 2 films out of it. I will probably go and re-edit those. Those were my second and third films, and I've become a way better editor. I've done 10 films now, and I want to go back and redo it and make it better. But that's how he works. That's how he works. So all that to say, that's the backstory. Here's the punchline. We were talking about principalities like the Prince of Persia that have never been deposed. So here comes Omer Fudd, that would be me, into Fatima, Portugal. Am I prayed up? Yeah, sort of. Is my wife prayed up? Yeah, you know, sort of, right? I get hit one night at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's always 3 o'clock in the morning by what I would call a principality. The same principality, a similar principality, which has ruled over the Prince of Persia, has ruled over Portugal for literally millennia and has never been deposed. Ladies, I crumbled. And I mean it. I sat there curled up in a fetal position going, I'm on the next airplane, Lord. I'm out of here. I can't do this. You got the wrong guy. This is bigger than I am. I can't do this. Well, the Spirit of a living God, the Holy Spirit speaks to me. You know what he says at 3 o'clock in the morning? Trust the process. I mean,
I would have been like, just sleep on it.
Pick this up tomorrow. Everybody else up there, trust the process.
Right.
Are you flipping kidding me? Trust the process. I mean, I'm in a fetal position, slammed down on the bed. My legs are curled up. I'm going, leave me alone. Right? I'm getting hit with stuff, and I can't turn it off. Can't. All of a sudden, peace returns. The Lord intervened. You know, pushed the thing away. So the next morning, I'm interviewing a philosopher and historian. I stop the cameras and I go, hey, let me ask you something. What was here in Portugal before the Christian era? Oh, LA, the goddess Mora, the mother goddess. She's still here. In fact, there are serpent cults all over northern Portugal that are still active today. It's always the serpent. Well, who is Mora? Well, Mora would appear as a beautiful woman. Hello. And then when she lured the men in, she would turn into a serpent and eat them. The goddess Mora. That's the principality, in my opinion, that is over the entire area of Portugal. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. Just like that principality in Iraq or Iran has never been deposed. And we know this from the Bible, the guidebook of the supernatural, because it says our battle is not with flesh and blood, but against principalities, against cosmocrators, against archons, against wickedness in high places. That's what it says. I'm not making. This is why I call it the guidebook of the supernatural. People don't even know this. Ephesians 6. If you want to go read it, read it. But unless
even the Gnostics spoke of the archons.
Well, exactly.
As being evil. I mean, that's like way pre everything that modern man knows. I always say you want to get a good feel for this stuff, read the Gnostic texts, because they speak of archons, and you still hear that term today. We live in a very archonic society, right? And they like, what is archonic? Where does that come from? Oh boy. Sorry, Amelia, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You might have to backtrack a little bit, LA. Thomas, I know him as Thomas, sorry. Tom Rivers wrote, what about our own power to create our own reality?
Well, I mean, think about that. I mean, it sounds really nice, but what are you really creating? You buy a house, you get married, and you create your own reality. You have a couple of kids, you have a retirement. That's about the reality that you're going to create, okay? Unless you find spirit guides and you go into the supernatural, and then that's a whole different reality. So really, what are you creating? The whole idea of positive thinking. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Our words mean something, and I constantly speak over my family, my house. The blessings of the Lord are over this place. I'm constantly praying it over our family, over our children, our finances, our ministry, over my marriage, over everything. Constantly praying that. That's speaking out a reality, but it's a reality that's based on the guidebook of the supernatural. It's not my reality, the one that I want. I want a new car and a big boat and a big house. It's not that at all. I don't care about that stuff. What I care about is the peace, the shalom in my home and my children and my family and our ministry and how we touch other people that come and visit us. And we touch thousands of people's lives. And I know we do because we get constant emails from people, how they listen to us, they read, they watch a video, they read a book, shameless plug, and it changes their life. And I'm just the messenger guy here. Changes their lives because they realize that there's someone that's greater, that spoke everything into existence. And see, that's the difference between the lie and the truth. The truth, in my opinion, is Yeshua, we make God in our image. He spoke everything into existence. He is before all things, and he holds all things together. Think about what that means. He holds all things. He holds you right now, Michelle. He holds you, Amelia, and he holds me together. You say, well, how does that work? We know that when he comes back, Revelation 19, that there's a sword in his mouth. What does that mean? In my opinion, and I've never heard anybody else talk about this, but we're in the window of time where many of us study these ancient prophetic texts. In my opinion, he stops holding those people together that are gathered together on the plains of Megiddo, looking up at the rider on the white horse to try to stop him from intervening. But they're not going to stop him. And he destroys them with the breath of his coming. Out of his mouth comes a sharp sword. That's what it says. Out of his mouth comes a sharp sword. Is it a sword literally? No, but it's like a sword. And what I think that does, all he does is he goes, I'm done with you. You've already told us what you want to do. That's fine. But I undo you. I cease to hold you together. It's not like Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings riding in and lopping off a bunch of orcs' heads. That's not what it is. And the armies of heaven followed him on white horses, dressed in white linen, pure and clean. So we follow him on flying white horses. That sounds absolutely insane. I get that. But that's what Scripture says. And you want to know something, ladies? I've been there. 41 years ago, he took me, not in a vision. I was there for 3 seconds. In the body, out of the body, I can't tell you. I was there for 3 seconds. So I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I'm living alone. I'm a brand new Christian. I have no clue about what Revelation is. No clue. I'm being hammered by the enemy. I'm wide open to everything, both good and evil. All sorts of stuff happened in that 3-year window. All sorts of stuff. And so all of a sudden I find myself on the back of a white horse. No bridle, no saddle. I'm holding onto the horse's mane. And we're riding. And I look to my left and I see that the armies of heaven are stacked. Like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30. And it's in a horseshoe shape. And the rider on the white horse, who is Jesus, is in the center of that horseshoe. And all around him are the armies of heaven. And I'm looking down, and all the horses are staggered wherever I can see him. Now, I don't know what I'm looking at. I have no idea. I've never read Revelation 19. There's no bridle, no saddle. I'm on the top right flank, not the top, but somewhere, I don't know how high it went, but I'm on the right flank, about 8 rows back from the front. That's where I am. I know where I am. I'm only there for 3 seconds. Second 1, hands on the mane. Second 2, rider on the white horse. second 3, I look up. The guys in front of me are really big. I mean, like 4 or 5 times the size of me. They're really big guys in the front row. And we are all writing, not like this. We're writing down. I'll never forget it. And then I was back in my room like this, and I went, what was that? And the next day, I had a counseling session with my first pastor, Pastor Fred Nicholas. And I said this is what happened to me last night. And he looked at me really strange, and he goes, have you ever read this? And he turns to Revelation 19, and there it is. And, until recently, I wasn't able to even read it without weeping. I couldn't read the scripture. I got it memorized now. I couldn't even read it without being incredibly emotional. Why? Because I was there. It's that visceral. So why does he, give some people these things and other people? I don't have any answers to anything. All I know is that, in my opinion, this is super reality. And what was written will come to pass. What was foretold is unfolding. And I can't say it any clearer than that. It's all there in the guidebook of the supernatural. And, you mentioned the Gnostics. Well, the Gnostics, the Nag Hammadi text, I mean, I get that. And they, kind of funky stuff. The Book of Enoch, that's a different deal. Is it part of the canon? Not really. But certain parts of the Book of Enoch are in our canon. So I look at that. I've read some of the Nag Hammadi texts. I know what they say. And it kind of flips everything a little bit. It just kind of goes.
It's a different perspective, and it does talk about everything pre-Christianity. These were still, these were still people who believed, but they're just, I think, like many of the ancients, they just opened their minds, and they were aware of the stars. They were aware of the constellations. They were aware that there was life. They didn't limit themselves to just life on this planet. They believe that their creator, God, created many different beings. And why not? Like, why do we limit ourselves to thinking, no, it's just all about us on this planet, when we already know there's more to it than just this planet? And if this creator created life and a galaxy and a universe, then would he not have created life for all these places also? And when that life not eventually come together?
And that's a very interesting question. I remember speaking at a conference right before COVID with George Norrie up in California. And he asked George, the panel, Nick Redfern's there, Nick Pope is there, Michael, whatever his name, is there. I mean, George is there. The whole panel is there and all the audience. And he goes, how many people believe in extraterrestrial life? Every hand in the room goes up. How many people don't?
Right.
And George figures that no one's raising their hand. And then LA's got his hand up, and George looks at me like, what?
What is wrong with you, LA? Right.
Said, first of all, nobody knows what this is. Nobody. Nobody has any idea of what this is or where we are in it. If the universe is analogous to the United States of America, is planet Earth in Walla Walla, Michigan? Duluth, Minnesota, Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles? We have no idea where we are. We also have no idea, and I went on for about 10 minutes. We have no idea where our consciousness is stored. Michelle, you're sitting there, you're breathing. Your eyes are blinking automatically, your heart's working. So where are you really? Where is Michelle right now? Who is she and where is she? You're in your little biological bodysuit, just like Amelia, just like me.
Damn it, I'm in a matrix? Are you telling me I'm in a matrix?
Hold on. Okay. We're all in this little biological bodysuit.
Okay.
It pretty good most of the time, right? Right?
Right.
It holds out pretty well. Right. Where is your consciousness? You don't know. I don't know. Amelia doesn't know. Nobody knows.
We're assuming within ourselves.
Somewhere, but we don't know where it's stored. We don't know. We have no idea how it interfaces with us. Nobody has any idea how it interfaces with the brain, with our eyes, with our senses. But it all works. I mean, look at me. I'm blabbing here. I mean, right? We're all doing this together, but we have no clue as to who we really are or where we are in this matrix.
So it could be just a simulation.
That's what I think it is.
Really?
We are in a digital simulation. Yeah, we are on some level. Why? Because the guidebook of a supernatural tells us that the real God will roll up the universe like a scroll. He says heavens. I'll roll up the heavens like a scroll, right? And create a new one. It's just like, okay, oh, well, that's just metaphor. That can't possibly happen.
I want to get off the merry-go-round.
Michelle, this is where we are. This is where we are. Look, you got to understand something. You can take all the Gnostic stuff to your blue in the face. I get that. Wherever Jesus walked and wherever he was, first of all, he's got an incredible sense of humor, which has been obfuscated by the church. Okay, so let me get this. I'll just give you one example. So he's hanging out with the apostles. They're just a bunch of regular guys, just like you and me. I mean, they really are. Mary Magdalene's hanging out with them. You know, some other women are, some guys, fishermen. They're all banding together. But it's a traveling freak show is really what it is. So Jesus goes, hey, guys, I'm really tired right now. Why don't you get in the boats? I'll catch up with you later. So they all get in the boats, and they start going on the Sea of Galilee. And no one's going like, well, how's he going to catch up with us later if we're rowing to, you know, points unknown? It's like, what? So, you know, no humor in the Bible, right? So it's getting dark, and Jesus decides to freak them out.
No.
And he goes walking on the water, and they all told him, oh my God, it's a ghost, ah! And they totally freak out. Now, the gentle Jesus, the one that we think he would have called out, hey guys, it's just me, I'm walking on the water, just catching up with you, nothing to be afraid of. No, that's not what he does. He deliberately sneaks up on them. Literally, he flipping sneaks up on them to freak them out, to get them out of their comfort zone. And he does this over and over and over again. Here's another one, the resurrection, right? There's absolutely no humor in the Bible. So Jesus is dead, died on the cross, it's over, buried him in the tomb, all saw him, absolutely dead as a doornail, it's over. The apostles are in the upper room, all the doors are shut, they are freaked out. They're terrified because they're going, we're next, it's over, they're coming for us, this is it. So they're trying to figure out what to do. So once again, you know, the gentle Jesus, the one who's very sensitive, you know, hey guys, it's me, Jesus, I've just risen from the dead and I'm going to come in now, okay? Please don't be alarmed. It's not what he does. It's not what he does. He comes right through the wall. Boom, and he's in their midst. They totally freak out. But there's no humor in the Bible. You don't think for a second that when they saw it was him, they're all laughing hysterically because they've been with him for 3 years and this is what he's done? And when you start looking at the guidebook of a supernatural and you deconstruct it from religion and you just look at what it says and you start plugging some humor in there, it's hysterical. But not only that, wherever he goes, he brings goodness. He destroys the work of the fallen one, the dragon. He totally destroys it. Heals everybody of everything with just a spoken word. He truly has dominion over the elements on the molecular cellular structure. When he heals the lepers, he's healing them on the cellular molecular structure. He's going right down to the nanoparticles and healing them in ways that defy modern physics. That's what he does. And but all this, let me just end it with this. All this has been obfuscated with robes and incense and stained glass windows and priests and monks and nuns and rosary beads and stations of the cross and televangelists and all this nonsense. And that ain't what it's about. That's not what it is. It's about that relationship with him. And that's what made available to everybody. But look, a schmuck like me, oy vey. But it's true. 41 years ago, my life's never been the same.
But you had one question, I think, Amelia.
Yeah, we're gonna have to roll back a little though.
Oh, sorry.
Zachman, he's a regular of ours. He's with us Wednesdays and Thursdays. Thank you, Zachman, for your question. He says, Amelia, I have one question. Someone brought up an idea to me the other day that what we consider demons may be the spirits of Nephilim. What is LA's opinion on this statement? Why or why not?
Yeah, they are.
Thank you, Zach.
That's exactly what they are. Let's deconstruct that. That's really good. We're back on track. I just gave a half
No,
hour.
that's okay. Just let
a half
it
hour.
go.
You can tell I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's the
That's not
passion.
what I intended to
It's
do
the
here.
passion.
That's the spirit of the Lord leads. So here we are.
That's
so
okay.
back on track.
I'm doing that for every squirrely moment from now on. That's the spirit of the Lord, and that's where he leads me, Michelle.
Fallen angels come down and they take women like you guys and they go into them, sexual coitus. They have an offspring. That offspring is called the Nephilim. Part of the byproducts are 6 fingers, red hair, double rows of teeth, and they're giants. Not all the time. That's before the flood. When the flood happens, the Nephilim are destroyed. But the entities, the soul nature, the spirit, not the soul, but the spirit nature in them can't be destroyed because it's eternal. Excuse me, it's eternal. It's from fallen angel DNA. So they become disembodied spirits which roam the earth, i.e. demons. Fallen angels and demons are not the same in my opinion. Fallen angels are fallen angels. Demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. And what's incredible about this, you go, well, why are they doing that? Because Genesis 3:15 tells us that, again, the pre-incarnate Christ is there in the garden. Adam and Eve are over here. The dragon's over there. He looks at the dragon and says, your seed, the dragon's seed, will be at war, at enmity with the seed of the woman. The one coming from the seed of the woman, right, will crush your head. You'll bruise his heel, but he'll crush your head. That sets up the rest of the guidebook of a supernatural, winding up with Jesus, which is why the dragon tries to kill him at absolutely every turn. But 3 chapters later in Genesis 6, the fallen angels come down, they procreate with the women, they create the Nephilim. Why? Because that contaminates the genome. Here's something to think about. Jesus warns us that it would be like the days of Noah when he returns. What differentiates the days of Noah? I've been banging this drum, ladies, for 30 years. What differentiates the days of Noah is the manipulation of the genome by the fallen angels. And when you take that mark, when they show up, there'll be a mark, the back of the hand or on the forehead. You won't be able to buy, sell, or trade without it. Then you're toast because you cease to become a human being. You become something else. The COVID vaccine is a genetic marker. It's not a vaccine. It's genetic manipulation is what it is. Now, I'm not saying if you've got the vaccine, that's the mark of the beast. It's not. But it's certainly a springboard to what may happen in the near future. That's written thousands of years ago, almost 2,000 years ago, that no one will be able to buy, sell, or trade without the mark on the back of the hand or on the forehead. Well, you go back 200 years and you read that and go, well, that's utterly preposterous, LA. That can't ever possibly happen. Now it's happening on some level. We're seeing it. People are getting chipped for all sorts of reasons. Is it the mark? No, it's not the mark. But when they show up, and I've been saying this literally for decades, when they show up, they'll have the free energy which pilots the craft, which will change the entire economy of the globe. They'll also have what they will couch as a DNA upgrade. You take this chip, you'll live disease-free, 300 to 500 years. Your lifespan's elongated, no worries at all. People will line up for that. Oh, well, that won't happen. Look at how many people have taken the vaccine without even knowing about it. There's been no testing on it. There's more deaths from this vaccine than in the last 20 years from all the vaccines put it together. So why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
So why, when you wrote, yeah, I mean, that's a direction that would be nice to go into. When you wrote your book, was bearing all of this in mind with this disclosure and UFOs and yes.
Absolutely. And the film, look, folks, the film is free. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. Streaming.lamarzulli.net, or go to our YouTube channel, LA Marzulli. Download the film. It's free. Watch it. It's an hour long. It'll blow your mind. The stuff that's in that film, and I'll just tell you something. In 2016, I was interviewing, and I was up there we shot all the film in 2016. It was released in 2017, in the early months. My first film as an independent director. My first film as a director and an editor. And I went back and redid it because I know after 10 films, I could, now I've learned my craft. I want to make it better. So I did that. And I felt that the Lord wanted me to do that anyway. And so we've done that. There was a woman I interviewed in 2016, and she was total new age, a psychic, an experiencer. She had voice to skull communication, downloads from these entities, the whole 9 yards. Okay. And I kept her anonymous in the film because I don't want to embarrass her and I want to keep her anonymous. All right. I spoke to her on Sunday just to make sure everything's okay with her. And, she's still pretty far out there, but she's a psychic. She told me in 2016 that the powers that be, are going to create some kind of a plague on the whole earth, and everybody's going to have to get a mandatory vaccine. When I saw that, Michelle and Amelia, I heard that in 2016, but it didn't register. So I'm re-editing the show like a couple of months ago, and I'm going back and looking at, I took a lot of the stuff out, redid a lot, added some new stuff, and I'm looking at what she's saying. I about fell out of my chair. And I look right at the camera when I introduce this segment in the film. I ask the audience, like, how did she know that? How did she know that? And that's why when I talk about the Luciferian endgame, that's who's manipulating all this. Make no mistake about it. Make absolutely no mistake about it. That there is a cabal of people that are deep, and I know this is conspiratology stuff, but it's not. They are deep into the Luciferian agenda, and they are serving the dragon, absolutely serving the dragon. Is that figure known as the Antichrist still here or on the planet? Possibly, very possibly. Do they know who he is? Not yet. He hasn't revealed himself, but he will soon, in my opinion. And I find it chilling and sobering at the same time.
Yeah, it's frightening, which brings me to this question. When you look into your guidebook and it speaks about, people disappearing, and you're basically talking about, in these specific cases, it's, they're being taken aboard a craft and they're describing it. Christians would call that a rapture. Do you think, in a way, are people going to be taken aboard crafts per se when end times come, or where do you think they're going to go?
Well, this is what we're told, and we don't know the mechanism of this.
Right.
And I talked to I've had lengthy discussions about this. How does he do this?
Right.
I'll quote you the scripture. He basically says, and it's paraphrasing here, that do not be troubled by word or letter, that the day of the Lord has come, and are gathering to him, that they will not happen until the apostasia happens, and then the man of sin will be revealed. And it talks about us gathering to him. It also says that we shall not all die, but some of us who remain here will be caught up in the air at the sound of a trumpet. The dead in Christ will rise first, and then we who are alive will rise up and meet him in the air. Now that's wacky. That's beyond science fiction. Let's be honest. That is the craziest thing you can possibly come up with, right? Beam me up, Scotty, right? I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Maybe, have you thought maybe he's an interdimensional being, and there is that city? Enoch talked of that sort of a city.
Absolutely. Oh, there's a city there. Absolutely.
Right? Maybe that is what most people describe as E.T. I don't know. It's a fine line.
But E.T., extraterrestrial, anything that does not originate on this planet is by definition an extraterrestrial.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Jesus is an extraterrestrial. Part of his DNA is extraterrestrial. I mean, he is. There's no doubt about that. Right. I get that. The angel that appears to Daniel is an extraterrestrial, but not in what we think, not in the grays or from Zeta Reticuli. There's a biblical framework in which all this stuff happens. That's why it's the guidebook of the supernatural. So I'll tell you a story. I told you the first one. 41 years ago, I was taken. I've only been taken twice in 41 years, okay? And it's not like, when the grays come in, it's not that way.
Not like that, no.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, I'm on the white horse holding the mane. How does that work? I'm getting ready to go and take a shower. I'm getting ready to go in the shower. All of a sudden, I'm not there anymore. I'm not there. I'm completely translated out of my body. I mean, in the body, out of the body, I have no idea. But there I am, once again, in another scene. I'm looking around. As far as I can see, there's a throng of people, a great throng of people. We're not all packed in like sardines. Oh my gosh, I'm packed in like a sardine. Not like that at all. There's space between us. I'm by myself. I can't tell you what I'm wearing. I can't tell you who's next to me. Some of that is just blocked. Just like the white horse. Were there women there? I don't know. Were there men there? I don't know. I can't tell you. Were you wearing a sword? I don't know. It's blocked. You don't get that. You get some of it, but not all of it. So I'm there, second one. I'm there in a huge throng. As far as the eye can see, everyone is facing the same direction. I'm not in the front row, by the way. I'm like just part of the multitude. Second one. Second two, I realize, so it's 1, 2, 3, that quick, and then I'm back. 1, 2, 3, back. Second one, there's the throng of as far as the eye can see. Second two, there's a holy reverential silence that permeates the entire scene. Everyone knows, including me, exactly what's happened, where we are. No one's questioning anything. And when I say holy, it's holy. Everyone is almost afraid to move because of where we are and what's happened. Second three, I go like this. My hands are up in the air, and I look down at my solar plexus, and I realize that my sin nature is gone. It's gone. It's not there anymore. It's gone. I'm totally free. It's not there. It's just not there. So even as a born-again spirit-filled Christian, I drag the old man around with me. This battle between flesh and spirit continues. As long as I'm alive here in the flesh, there'll be that war, constant war. And go ahead.
I was like, so what do you say to someone who basically says that sounds a lot like an alien abduction and missing time? I'm just playing, the opposition. I was going to say devil's advocate, but it'd be a really poor choice of words.
There were no grays.
A little.
There were no grays. I wasn't terrified. I wasn't fearful.
But there are many types of species, though. Humanoids.
It was biblical because I knew where I was. I got raptured. In other words, I was there in the rapture in the future. How does that work?
Okay, time travel.
I was there for 3 seconds. I'm on my white horse, Revelation 19, future. How does he do that? How does he pull that off? Because space-time is not what we think it is. And there is no space-time where he is. Yeah. So that's what he calls out the future, and he knows the end before the beginning and the beginning before the end. So we can take someone like me, put them who knows how many years in advance, and there I am riding on the white horse where I will be at some point. I know that. I will be taken up with him. I know that. I mean, I've been there for both things. You can't make this stuff up. You just can't.
Right.
And especially the part about going, oh my gosh, my sin nature's gone. Why, you can't make that stuff up, but it's there. And that's what happens. When we're taken and translated, then we have new bodies. They're immortal. They can't be destroyed. And we're finally in glory. What I mean by that sounds too, woo-woo.
Right.
There's nothing in that place, no evil thought, no negativity, no hatred, no lie, no harm, no evil, no tears, no pornography, no child molestation, no pedophilia, no crack house, no prostitute, no child abuse, nothing. It all falls off, all of it.
So when is your timeline for that?
No clue.
Right.
People ask me that often. No clue.
Right.
None.
Interesting.
And that's what I mean. It's hidden. I'm not supposed to know that.
Well, it's a curiosity because there's a lot that goes on about. I think they've got, like, let's say the missing 4,100 people that just randomly disappeared, and in some of these cases, they're with people, and there were just a few hundred feet apart, if that, maybe 100 feet apart. And all of a sudden, they look back, and this person is just gone, and they're like, for a second, I just looked away and. Is that rapture or is that
no? It's abduction? Not. That's David Pallady's stuff. That's 411.
Yes, that's right. The 411. That's right.
And that's exactly what's going on. And that is happening, and it does happen. And that's why.
What's your take on that?
Those are entities or portals.
Okay.
Let me show you something.
So they've walked into a portal basically, and they're like gone.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
This is from Al Matthews, who became a centerpiece of our film, Disclosure. And Al sent me this picture. It's right up here somewhere. There it is. Point. And this was given to him. First of all, he's out there and he sees a 2-mile wide craft. It's just a light in the sky.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. Wow. That's pretty substantial.
But then
so what is that? Oh.
Right there.
Well, then that would. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that is pretty super cool.
That is pretty amazing.
Look at the mouth area.
Right. Wow.
It's essentially Cro-Magnon.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a scripture in the book of Revelation that talks about the beasts of the earth are unleashed against humanity. What I just showed you, the Greek word is therion. That's what that is.
I've heard that. Yeah.
That's what that is.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a whole other show. My gosh. It just goes on and on.
Ladies, I've been doing this. This is all I do. I mean, I tell people, Scully and Mulder, that's a show, and they're actors. I'm not an actor, and I'm out in the field. I'm going to a place, undisclosed location, where they've got this man decades ago has metal from a disc, and we're going to get that metal tested. It's the real X-Files here. This is what we do.
So they're not. We've determined the crafts for the most part are not from here. What is your take on that then? With your, considering your belief system, what do you do with something like that?
They are interdimensional entities. Jacques Vallée said that.
Right.
Yes. Said that they were interdimensional. And that's exactly what they are. They're interdimensional. They pop in, they pop out. They can manipulate space, time, matter, and energy. And the fire physics. So
they could definitely, okay, so it could be little green men, for all we know.
Except they're gray.
That's right.
And they have a very nefarious agenda.
Right.
Always.
Right. And yeah, well, it's doubtful Disclosure will give us that, but that was fun.
No, not yet. That's not what that's gonna. They're gonna, couch it. They don't want to alarm the masses.
Right.
This is the coming great deception. This is it. This changes everything.
How are you going to control how the rest of the world hits disclosure? They're not going to hold on.
That's true.
They're not going to hold on to what?
The rest of the world will give out more disclosure, in my opinion, than the U.S. ever will, to be honest with you. I think China will hold back, and Russia's going to hold back as well.
We'll have to just see what rolls out. But it is being rolled out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've kept you longer than you were supposed to be here, but it's just fascinating stuff. Why don't you tell everyone how to find you, promote what you want to promote, get it out there so we can let you go.
We're not making any money off this film.
Right.
So you go to streaming.lamarzulli.net. You download it for free. You watch this film. This is the film you want to watch. UFO Disclosure, Coming Great Deception of Luciferian Endgame. It's free. Why am I doing this, you ask? Well, because the information is way too important. No strings attached. You know, if you want to donate to what we do, that's fine. We're working on part 2. We're not asking you to do that. Watch the film.
Can they find Lost Civilizations, your new film, here also?
Lost Civilizations is there on streaming.lamarzulli.net. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. Lost Civilization, which we didn't even talk about tonight.
I know.
And your YouTube channel, how to get your books?
YouTube is L.A. Marzulli, and I do a daily show, Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural Report, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Okay. We'll have to get back and talk about Lost Civilizations, but I was really excited about that film, and it's sort of taken the back seat because of UFO Disclosure. So,
we would love to have you on. You're always welcome.
Let's do it. Just
let's do it.
Michelle, and we'll
okay. I'll do that.
Sure.
I'm gonna give you a special date just so we can talk about Lost Civilizations.
Please.
And then we can include the Nephilim stuff in there also. How does that sound?
Great. That sounds wonderful.
I like it. So I don't know what's binging at me, but thank you. Thank you for coming, and I will be in touch.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Ellie. Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Now, see, that is definitely a perspective that I have personally never heard. So coming from somebody who's so versed in so many different topics, that was like, wow, that was an eye-opener. But again,
I enjoyed watching him today.
Yeah, he's very, there's a lot of emotion and powerful emotions behind that. And I love that, because part of this whole disclosure thing is, how will people of faith handle stuff like this? There's some people who don't really think about it one way or another. There's some people who, may reach out more for their faith. They may gravitate more towards it, whether it be out of fear or whether they personally just think, no, you know what? There's something more to it. It's hard for myself. I'm not a religious individual by any means. And I have had experiences with extraterrestrials, and I've been seeing crafts my entire life. So yeah, I agree, Brad. Never heard it that way either. It was interesting. But with that being said, I don't know. What's your take? How do you think people of faith will handle disclosure?
Me?
Yeah, co-host. That's a question.
Well, seeing the way I'm handling it, I mean that you're going to have all kinds. You're going to have radicals. It's going to create a whole other clique, if you will. Those who are religious and fanatic and want to be extremely protective of what they do and believe in their faith. Mm-hmm. I think that we have a large enough group to be open to it. I mean, most of us already know they are amongst us. It's, and I believe that this will help. I pray, if done properly, that this rollout will help destigmatize what Hollywood put in place for so many years of creating this chaos and fear.
See, that I agree with you. I think media has been, instrumental in doing its job and creating a sort of fear with it, but it's also created a little bit of intrigue. I think they've been slowly giving us signs for a really long time. If you just look at Star Trek, for example, Gene Roddenberry, he introduced things. Star Wars was much the same. They introduced little things in there. You're kind of looking at it going, now in hindsight, it was so ahead of its time. And I like to use, the story of dolphins who are believed to be very, very connected to the Greys. And, you get great minds such as Carl Sagan, for example, and a whole lot of other different scientists. He never even liked to broach the topic that he believed in UFOs because he didn't want to lose funding for his other projects. Now they founded, he was founder of an organization called Order of the Dolphin. And they truly believed, and he did this with other scientists, they truly believed that dolphins were extraterrestrial and would teach us to be able to communicate with Greys and possibly other extraterrestrials. Now, with that being said, dolphins are extremely intelligent. They've even beat out humans on IQ tests, which is mind-blowing. Okay, so we know they're really smart.
They're sentient beings, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there are cases of even dolphins being abducted. There was like a SeaWorld type of place in the U.S. I believe it was. Was it in the U.S.?
Was it a dolphin or an orca that just went missing?
No, they were dolphins. There were 6 dolphins in the tank. Could be somewhere else. I'd have to check my notes from a different show that I did on the Gray Zone. But this was in front of like at least a couple hundred people sitting down watching a show. All of a sudden, they started seeing this bright light up in the sky. They started seeing this thing was changing forms. And before you know it, okay, there are 2 dolphins gone. It's not like a beam came down and grabbed them. The dolphins were just gone. So, here we have a craft taking the dolphins. It's also believed that dolphins speak a little bit like Greys.
You know who else does? I've been watching all the series of whales on National Geographic.
Right.
And there is one particular
humpback.
Oh, it's the humpback. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
They click, 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 click with each other. And I'm like, wow. Because they all have their own language.
And with that being said, do you remember Star Trek 4? The motion picture Star Trek, I believe.
Never
it was Star
watched
Trek 4?
any of them. Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting tidbit because you say the humpback whale. Okay. Basically, the story goes is this big alien craft comes in, is ready to destroy the planet because it's looking for something or someone it communicated with like thousands of years before. And they were finally able to trace it back to a humpback whale. Oh, but guess what? They were hunted to extinction. So they had to go back in time, kidnap 1 or 2, a pair of humpback whales to bring them back because that ship those beings needed to communicate with the whales. And I thought to myself, I'm sorry, what the hell did Roddenberry know that we didn't know? It's just one. Yeah, right. There you go, Brad. See, we should talk about it too. That to me is like, okay, that like he was onto something. And it is the clicking, the clacking, I've heard that stuff before. And it's like, so I don't know. It's
hate to break your heart, Zach. I've never watched a Star Wars episode either. I'm literally Penny on The Big Bang Theory. Never seen
nothing. See, I'm the other way. I have pretty much seen all that. I've always, like many people, had that. I think we all have that curiosity about space. I remember as a child watching a show called Project UFO. That's a freaking old one, okay? And I would sit there because I grew up north, so the skies are always clear. You would always see things. I grew up seeing crafts. And I would just sit there and wait. And I would look up and I would always wait to see them, not really knowing why, what the interest was.
Or who was in there.
never really thought about who was in it. I think it was so much at that age, just looking up and going, oh, I'd really like to see one go by. I mean, many family members had seen them, and it wasn't something that freaked me out. It was, like most people, something I didn't really think about altogether, but I don't know. I think people do have a healthy curiosity. I also believe that there are people, much like LA, who have, a staunch belief system. And it's like, nope, this is pretty much our belief. And I find it interesting in mentioning the Matrix, because a lot of people do believe we, in fact, live in a simulation.
It's another movie I've never watched.
Well, I don't know, man.
I got to write a list. I tried the Star Wars thing. I couldn't do it.
They got to start getting into the Matrix things. There's a lot of clues in the Matrix. And there's a lot of people that think, no, we do live in a simulation. I'm like, is it kind of like the Truman Show? I know I'm name dropping a lot of shows right now, but honestly, I really do think, as we near disclosure, and we're all sitting there expecting, I don't know what people expect. Like, it's not like they're going to drop one on our lap. It's not that they're going to like start saying, yeah, hey, we've got one of these, or yeah, we've got these. They're going to give
you very little.
For sure. But I think when you explore that, the possibilities, it's like maybe they've been giving it to us all along. Realistically speaking, the ancients have been talking about extraterrestrials and aliens being on this planet for thousands of years. I mean, thousands. Go look at, cave drawings. Go to the Red Mountains. Go, the Hopi have all kinds of that stuff. The ant people that they spoke about. There's been people who have witnessed crafts coming out of freaking mountains, from under the water, from, like haunted forest Romania. I don't know. I can tell you, I saw some weird ass stuff in that place. Like,
that comes up a lot when you're researching too.
It does.
It comes up a lot for a lot of things.
It does. And I think it just maybe, is it a Stargate? Because portal, let's face it, stuff will be coming out of there like nonstop. All these type of triangles, they're all over the world. And yes, you have disappearances. You also have a lot of UFO sightings. You have USO sightings. There are people who believe that they've been taken under the water as abductees. They have visions of being taken under the water. They don't always go to the stars. So I don't know.
Sometimes they go through mountains.
Exactly.
I firmly believe that they're already here and they're amongst us, and they have their different worlds, whether it be underwater, through mountain, or another dimension. I mean, we see a lot of portals in our work. We never believe that it's just a demonic who could use a portal. It's just, there's so much, it's going to be a big pill to swallow for some, and it's going to take time. And that's why I guarantee you the government is not going to be rolling out the information the way maybe MUFON or National UFO Center is hoping and praying for.
I agree with you on that, because then, like, I think we've heard Joe say it many times, they would have to be held accountable. Would we hold them accountable? I think that, I don't know. I'm quite comfortable with it personally.
Of lawsuits going back now.
Sure.
That's a problem.
I personally am comfortable with it. I have had several sightings through my lifetime. There are some people who are very uncomfortable with it. And I don't know, it would be interesting to weigh in on that. Are we going to get anything exciting? No. I agree with you. I also agree with you that they've always been here. They'll always be here, I think, as long as the planet is here. Some have remained hidden all this time, obviously, because people on average have no clue that they are here. Brad Roberts, in 1975, there were several sightings in our part of the country. I believe it. And
where are you, Brad?
Yeah. Give us a shout out. Where are you from? I know there are parts of the world that have hot zones. Sedona is one of them. Sedona itself is said to be
all of Arizona,
a Stargate. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sedona is a freaking Stargate, like the whole place. I'm just like, God Almighty.
All of Arizona. I was watching a paranormal show today, and I'm not giving the name because I don't remember what it was, because I don't often watch, and I've got that new wireless cable and I don't even know what channel I'm on. I'm still
South Central
learning that.
Nebraska, he said.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And they showed how, I thought this was ingenious. This couple just happened to be, of course, how we all do. We want to take a shot of that super moon or that star or whatever. And there's this orange ball. Well, doesn't she starts filming. Her husband takes out a video camera. Neighbors are filming it. Nobody could disprove this video.
Mhm.
That's the way to do it. And
It
they made a
is.
suggestion, if you have more than one camera phone, do it, because there is no way those pieces are going to be put together without some showing that they've been altered. And if you have 6 iPhone cameras or Androids, whatever, filming, and especially someone else pulled out a video camera, or you have a drone, Christ, that's even better. Just put it up there. They showed one in Italy. It was a saucer disc. It's not long ago. And they followed what they saw, 2 fighter jets escorting that saucer disc, but where was it going? And it was low, lying close to the ground, like at mountain level.
But that could
The
be one of
mountains
the
like that
government
tells me
crafts
it's
too.
no. It came from one of their societies there. The mountains tell me that from the height that it's northern Italy where this happened. And it's off the west coast, like from I recognizing the region.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Arizona.
Like governments of the world are said to have their own crafts,
Yeah.
as well. It's
This was
really hit and miss.
they were flying in tight formation, escorting it away from the country.
Right.
So it was very close.
Right.
Zachman writes, Arizona is definitely a hotspot for paranormal and spiritual energy from what I have found. I have to get out of Maricopa County to experience it. Excuse me, you should. I'm dying to go there.
And Brad, you made an interesting observation with the drones as well. How it was a really big, mystery sightings, last year. But since COVID hit, he said the drones have actually disappeared. They don't have all those sightings anymore. Go figure. I don't know. I'll leave that
figure
right there.
That one out.
But I do know, getting
to do
back
with
to
towers?
right. But I will make mention, popping back to the paranormal for a moment, and many of the people that I've worked with through the years, who have had alleged, and I will say alleged only because it's not. People think they have, demons. They always don't. Sometimes they're projecting energy. Sometimes they are ET, because they've had sightings of grays. So you have a portal on site, and it's just a matter of like which came first. Interdimensional being's an interdimensional being. I mean, they can come through any way they want, but it's fascinating to me that I would say at least 25%. Okay, so a quarter of the people that I've worked with over 18 years have, and I only work malevolent cases, just, to give you a bit of insight into what I do, have had grays sightings in their homes, which tells me abductees, which tells me maybe not demonic. So, we really have to weigh all that out. I think it'll be interesting to see if people gravitate further towards their faith. Will they gravitate away from it? Because some people are gravitating away from it. But since all of this pandemic, I think other people have firmed up with it a little bit more. So if you're not into, unidentified aerial phenomenon or UFOs, then what? Yes. Okay. Thanks for that.
Joe, you look lovely tonight, but yes. I think something you're eating is causing some strange effect to your face.
I know you need to put on some weight. But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. And Brad says, looking at overlying maps of drone sightings and COVID breakouts, it is an amazing coincidence. Think not, because I don't believe in coincidences personally.
No, neither do I.
Right. But I don't know. With that being said, they're already saying that they are delayed, and they're possible deadline of the end of June for their disclosure, right?
Love your new look, Joe.
There we
it's
go.
From Zach. It's like, it's not a new look. It's not Joe.
Yeah. He's like, what?
What did that spice do to you?
It's hot.
It's like something he ate.
I think so.
See what happens when you eat all that weird meat?
Yeah, right. And that's eating weird shit. That's exactly what it comes down to.
Like that. You're gonna look like Joe.
Oh, I see. That's no violence. This is a family show.
Stop
even to the
your two
ET.
your head.
Even to there we go. That's better.
We'll
just dress him up.
In the hat and I put one on and I look like I'm on drugs.
Yeah, we'll just dress him up and then we go. It's a little better. He's got his own little cap. His little tam. So, but I don't know, guys. But with that being said, we are slowly nearing, the end of the show. So I will sign us off. And I really appreciate you guys all chiming in with your comments and your questions. It always makes our show that much better. So, of course, now we are at the end of the show. I thought it was a great segment. Big thank you to Mr. Elia Marzulli for tuning in. Big thank you to Joe, especially for the theatrics at the end of the show. It was great.
And the beginning that you don't see.
I know. So please remember to stop by the International Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, YouTube channels. Guys, subscribe. Sorry, can't remember it. I got to stamp that thing in my freaking head just to remember it. And while you're there, show us some love. Go on over to the Outer Realm on Facebook and on Instagram. Give us a like. We'd appreciate
invite
it.
Your friends.
There
please.
We go. Yeah, invite your friends.
Know,
exactly.
Like 2 million people listening.
Exactly. And yeah, thanks, Zach. Thank you, Brad. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, everybody. Leah, everybody who tuned in. If you do want to see specific guest or topic addressed on the show, if you think you'd like to get on the show yourself, well, thanks to you too, Steve. And please just drop us a line at the outerrealmcontact@gmail.com, the outerrealmcontact@gmail.com. Let us know. We are booking into the new year. Sorry. We do book really quick. We get a lot of requests, so we're very fortunate. Tomorrow night's going to have another amazing show. We're going to be welcoming Dr. David Bettenhausen and Carla Bogney-Kidd to the Outer Realm for the first time. So it's like first time week, and they're going to be discussing reincarnation, which really is super interesting. I'm really anxious to kind of hear what they have to say.
Oh my gosh, am I ever?
I know it's going to be fun. So get your questions ready. And get your butts into chat. And
I'd like to know about the reincarnation. And can you come back in a dog? Because I swear to you, my dog is my grandfather.
I can tell you yes, based on because we have had people come on the show before, and basically she said yes, that her dogs have come back as dogs, and she's I believe it. I believe that a essence is essence. And it can pretty much relocate, You come back as your dog, you'd be spoiled. Come back as my dog, you'd be spoiled.
Well, my no-no's having a grand old time running this house and allowing us to live here.
That's it. There we go. See, there we are. That's all it takes. All it takes. So everybody, we'll see you tomorrow night. Behave yourselves, and we will see you with new amazing guests tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Good night.